Hello, namaskar, vanakkam. How was the paper? I hope the paper went off well. काफी क्वेश्चंस आए हैं जो कि I have explained in my explanation video as well as the mock test paper I did. Also, in fact, 3 out of the questions, because elevator ka test paper I had done in the month of November. I don't know how many of you saw it because उस टाइम पे कोई सीरियस नहीं होता है. नवंबर में एलिवेटर के ऊपर एक मैंने टेस्ट पेपर किया था, MCQs and 2 long questions का. And from the mock test paper that I did, 2 days back, we have got what? The glove and the lions and the last lesson. And friends Romans, if you have seen my video on Act 3 Scene 2, उसमें specifically बोला था कि this is the most important speech as far as Julius Caesar is concerned. So let's get started with the answer key. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, so I am assuming that most of you, overwhelming majority have done very well in this paper. What does Antony describe as thou bleeding piece of earth? Pretty easy. What you're talking about, Caesar's lifeless body covered in blood. Option D. Okay, should I mark it? Because sometimes you get confused कि मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, और let's just mark it out, so no problem, no confusion. So option D. When Brutus says ambition's debt is paid, he means that what? Caesar's greed for power and possession had resulted in his death. Yeah. So option A. ये क्यों नहीं आ रहा? After Antony's speech following Caesar's assassination, the angry mob kills Cinna the poet. Option B. Fourth one, when Antony says he must be taught and trained and bid go forth a barren-spirited fellow, he's referring to who? He's referring to Lepidus. This is Act 4, Scene 1, when the 3 of them, Antony, Lepidus, and Octavius Caesar, are talking. Okay. So the reference is to Lepidus. Who are the members of the second triumvirate? Same scene में से you're talking about, because that's what they are talked about. The option is 5th ka C. Mark Antony, Octavius Caesar, and Lepidus. This is the who are the new power arrangement. What is interesting is that they could have actually made it very confusing. Now I was thinking whether it could be Brutus, Cassius, and Casca. No, the second form to rule over Rome after Caesar's assassination. Now I'm actually wondering, would it be B or would it be C? Because we are talking about the second triumvirate. Let me just cross-check so that we don't have any doubts out here. Because Act 4, Scene 1 may, they are saying it very clearly that they are the new triumvirate. The second triumvirate, I think that the first one is not really a triumvirate because they are a group of people. They wouldn't really be called a triumvirate, and at no place do we get an indication that Casca is a member. In fact, Casca के बारे में तो अता पता ही नहीं चलता है उसके बारे में. So I think I would go with C as far as 5th is concerned. Okay. That's what everyone's saying on the chat as well. Okay. Which of the following words best? See, it's my job to think aloud and eliminate. Always eliminate the ones which could be distractors. That's what I'm presently doing. Which of the following words best describes Cassius' mode? This is from Act 4, Scene 3. And I realize that many of you are getting confused between regretful and frustrated. But the tone of Cassius, when is he having that confrontation with Brutus, is clearly one of frustration at that point in time. When he says these lines, it is one of frustration. So option D. In the poem Haunted Houses, what does the speaker see at his fireside that the stranger cannot? Option C. This is 7th C. Yep. In the poem, The Glove and the Lions, who does, now this is something which I was very surprised through the last 1 month. So many people have asked this doubt, who is the count sighing? I mean, who is sighing? Is it the king or is it the count? I'm really surprised. Why is there this confusion? Because the first stanza of the poem makes it pretty clear that it is not the king. Why would the king be sighing for that lady beats me? Okay, so it is the count. At least here they make it very clear who is the count sighing for the beauteous lively dame. Now this is also a key phrase which I had pointed out in our revision video. Select the option that shows the correct relationship between statements 1 and statements 2. The correct one is A, because when great trees fall, the world is left permanently. It is not permanently. You do have change taking place after that. So the word permanently is the problematic word out here in statement 1. Statement 2 is true. So option A is the correct one. Have most of them got it right?
Yes. There are 4,000 people watching us right now.
This is 9th ka, great. 9th ka A. Yes, correct. Great. The poem A Considerable Speck expresses Frost's what? 10th ka B. Respect for intelligent life. I had gone and explained that whole survival and the intelligence thing of the speck in both the video as well as in the revision video. Which of the given options contains the figure of speech that appears in the poem, following line from the poem, The Power of Music? Now this is very clear. Feathered, fly, turn, turtle. Okay. While winging. So it is a case of rampant alliteration, I would say. Whereas this one, this is in fact from Treasure Trove. Teju, do you remember this? Rainbow Tinted Circles of Light, Sarojini Naidu, the Bangle Sellers. It was there in Treasure Trove, which was the earlier book. Okay. This is personification. This is a simile. This is a metaphor. So this is the one which is an alliteration. Month, middle, May. So option 11th is A. The short story, which is always, it helps if you know, which is why I've done that video on the figures of speech, so that you understand and you're able to eliminate the distractors. In the short story with the photographer, the narrator asks the photographer, is it me? Because he's unable to recognize his own face. 12th ka C, let me just look at the other option, because I've just gone through it only once. He's delighted with no, he looks very handsome. No way. He's ashamed of how he looks. He's upset with it. He's not ashamed. So he's at 12th ka C is the correct option. 12th C. 13th one. In the short story, The Elevator, which of the following does Martin's father not do when Martin expresses his fear of the elevator? I've gone to great lengths talking about Martin's father. This is not correct. It's not do. So 13th is B. He in fact wants him to he says, why are you scared? So this is not true. This is something which he does not ask Martin to do. This is something which he says he ignores TV. He dismisses Martin's concerns. Okay, have most of them got it right?
Yes.
Choose the option. Choose the option that lists the sequence of events from Radbury's Pedestrian. Okay, this is the order. Let me just go through it straight away. This is the 14th question. 14th ka C is the right one. 3142. This one, which is what the story starts with. Then one night he's stopped by a police car. Then he hears a metallic voice which asks him this thing. And since his answers are not considered satisfactory, he's forced to enter the car and taken away to the psychiatric center. So option C for the 14th one. Let me just tell you one more thing. The math series is going to start from tomorrow by Teju. So please stay tuned for the entire maths bullet short revision stories with question and answers which she has made, which will prepare you for a 3-hour long paper. Also the fact that this time paper kaisa hoga, uske bare mein kafi suspense rahega. Okay, just an information note. Where was Adjao born? It is Ghana. This is pretty simple. Why did M. Hamel have to leave the school after 40 years of service? 60th day, he was not allowed to teach French any longer. Ye to nahi hai, ye to nahi hai, ye bhi nahi hai. Okay, so I hope kitna aaya hai? How much have you scored in the MCQs? Let me quickly go through the questions. So this is the first one.
I think you must mention about how most of the questions which you had.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is that I was a little upset. I mean, so many students sending me messages about how different other YouTubers were just copying our this thing. Please don't do that. You're meant to be educators. Let's be honest, at least in these kind of things. What's the fun in taking stuff directly from our question bank and test series and putting it on your channel? I really do not see any point in this kind of what I call dishonesty and unethical self. I mean, some of you guys are much bigger players. So please don't do such stuff. I mean, I was appalled to see in the language video that you guys did. You even, I mean, जो characters के नाम जो मैं खुद देता हूँ. Do you know how I give the names of characters in my grammar questions? I name them after most of my students. Most of them are the names of my students. नाम भी बिना चेंज करके आप उसमें अपने YouTube चैनल पे लाइव स्ट्रीम में डालते हैं. I mean, I don't think that's the right way to do. People who have done this know exactly who I'm referring to. This is Act 3, Scene 2. The most important speech as far as this thing. I hope you have got it right. The 3 conditions that Brutus had laid down, you know, that the fact that he would say that he had been given permission, that he would speak only after Brutus, that he must not blame the conspirators, etc. Then the 3 arguments that Antony says, that he had refused the crown thrice, talking about the Lupercal, the distribution of wealth as part of his will, and the fact that he had got many captives home. So all those arguments, you will say to say that Julius Caesar was not an ambitious person. I hope you have written it, and it would have always worked. Instead of one big paragraph, if you had just split it up, it just make it easier for the examiner to check also. So all these questions, I don't think you would have any problem. The second one is from Act 5, Scene 1, the confrontation scene between the 2 sides. Okay, let's go through to the treasure chest. We had the elevator one, right? Which I said we had done a paper with both MCQs and long questions in November itself. Before your pre-boards, I wanted to prepare you for your pre-boards. At that time, we had done this. Then, of course, this was part of my mock test paper. If you see here, you know, what had that put on? What does the word that in the extract refer to? What other bad news? I put it out. Explain the significance of the town hall. This is the basic information that you needed to write it in that particular answer. Isse zyada spoon feeding koi nahi karega, right? It was all here in that paper, right? So this is as far as the last lesson is concerned. I do not think you would have had any issues with it. Let's come to the poems. The Glove and the Lions, again, done in the same mock test paper. So 2 out of 4 questions have come in from the same poem and story. Describe the scene. I don't think you should have had, because we had done it in great detail. The beauteous, lively dame. Didn't I go on telling both in the revision video as well as in the mock test paper that this particular key phrase is an important one, right? So that's another one. And the last one is from the Considerable Spec. Okay, Robert Frost poem. So I hope अच्छा किया है, अच्छा गया है, फोड़ के आए हो, to use your own language. Although all of you who are saying, oh, I am getting cooked, I am getting cooked, तो अभी टाइम है किचन से बाहर निकल के, प्रेशर कुकर से बाहर निकल के. One thing I must tell you, do not think that abhi time bahut hai. Don't behave like the people in the last lesson that we always thought we had a lot of time concern, and do not panic on the 2nd or 3rd of March for mathematics. Don't do that. Mathematics, I remind you, is going to be a 3-hour long period, 3-hour long examination. It does not mean that they are giving you more time. Of course, they are giving you more time, but at least a few questions, will definitely be a little tricky, which will consume that much of time for you to solve. So be mentally prepared for that. Some of you will, of course, have the second language, the non-Hindi students. So they will have their second language, I think, on the 25th or so. But use the time to prepare for maths, maybe a bit of history, Hindi, if that's your exam. So next, ye 2 exams ke liye, next 10 din ka time waste mat karo. That's something, as I said, Teju will start the maths videos starting tomorrow. Okay, so that's as far as the English literature SWS answer key is concerned. I'm very happy to note that a lot of it has come from the content that we put out. And I'm even more happy to note that most of you, majority of you, probably 99.9999% have done extremely well. So God bless you. All the best. Aram se so, and then get started with what you need to do now. Okay, tata, bye-bye. Are